everybody get one of these? What number is Morning Has Broken?
38.
48.
38.
Thank you.
Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather on this beautiful morning, both in person and online, for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you're joining us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. And we welcome everyone, especially those of you who are congregating outside, to come on in to our sanctuary. I think on this particular Mother's Day morning, we are all running a little, and graduation morning, right? We are all running a little bit slow, and that is okay. We are here for all of us in all of our lives, the fullness of what that means. So whether you join us today with joy in your heart weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. I'm the Reverend Diana Smith, the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society. My pronouns are she and her. I am a somewhat tall white woman with short, curly white and brown hair, wearing purple glasses, a flowery dress, and a green stole with leaves on it, standing at UUS's pulpit in the front of our sanctuary. Our sanctuary is slowly filling with people, and I know there are many of you out there online as well, and we are glad you are here. Today, we connect with nature, with the outdoors, noticing this beautiful, overcast, springy day as the seasons change. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who have cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk and Meskwaki, and the Oceti Shakawan nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together as a radically welcoming spiritual community. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We are guided by the shared principles and sources of our living tradition. This morning, as we celebrate our flower ceremony, we're reminded of the inherent worth and beauty of every person and the many ways that we can and do work to create diverse, multicultural, beloved community. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the service. For those who are here in person, you can talk to a greeter in the atrium. For those online, there is a link in the YouTube notes to help us connect with you. And so on this morning, I'd like to share with you some words by the Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich, who writes, "Today, we are celebrating many things. Our diversity and many gifts that make us a community, as well as the ways we share our gifts, even as we carry fear, anger, and concern over what's happening in our country and our world. And we're holding and sharing all of that is on what is both a joyous and a complicated day, Mother's Day." And so Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich writes, "For all the mothers and mother figures, the grandmothers, aunts, and extended family members who mother, the soon-to-be mothers, the wish they were mothers, the never wanted to be mothers, the it's complicated mothers, the birth mothers, foster mothers, adoptive mothers, stepmothers, the used-to-be dad mothers, and more than one mom mothers, the single mothers, separated mothers, stay-at-home mothers, unhoused mothers, the grieving mothers, those who grieve their mothers, and those whose grief is complex, for all the communities that mother, and for all who depend on the great mother, you are held and beloved." And so let's join our voices in song with "Morning Has Broken" as Alex and Xinghui and the UUS singers lead us.
Morning, everybody. Morning. I'm Alex Heatland, your music director. Xinghui is at the piano. UUS singers behind us, all in flowery shirts. Yes. Well, one stripe. Okay. All right. So I invite you to rise in body and spirit as we sing together "Morning Has Broken." It's number 38 in the Gray Hymnal. The words are also on the screen. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain to fall. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Valerie Bowman, Worship Associate and member of UUS. My pronouns are she and her. I am a short woman in my 70s with short dark hair streaked with white, and I'm wearing a yellow dress with flowers. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety to unite us in worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice words as Walter lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant, with life and one another.
Good morning, everybody. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today. My name is Fanny Carver. I'm a worship associate, a member of the UUS. I'm a Hispanic woman, petite, in my late 40s. My pronouns are she and her. I'm wearing a gray dress with flowers. I have a curly short hair with glasses. We're gonna light the candle for justice and healing. When we light our candle for justice and healing, we know that our liberation is bound up with every other person's liberation. We light this candle that we might not be numb or lost to injustice and trauma, but rather to find strength, courage, and love together to continue engaging with the struggle for liberation, justice, and healing. We light this candle to help us remind ourselves that together we are creating resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we are particularly mindful of the people or the students that are graduating this weekend. Let them share and apply what they have learned with the rest of the world. As we light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps to lift up prayers.
So today, we are celebrating our flower celebration, our flower ceremony. The flower celebration was created by the Reverend Dr. Norbert Chopek, who was born over 150 years ago in June of 1870. He became a Baptist minister, and during World War I, his safety was threatened because he spoke out against people who were trying to restrict freedom of worship. And I should say he was born in Czechoslovakia. Because of that, because he was threatened, because he was speaking out to protect people about freedom of worship, he and his wife, Maya, came to the United States, where they discovered Unitarianism, and he became a Unitarian minister. Once the war ended, the Chopeks returned to Czechoslovakia, and in 1921 founded the Unitarian Church of Czechoslovakia. Now, the war had left a lot of misery for people in Prague. Many people had died, families had been broken up, businesses had been ruined, and many people didn't have enough money to meet their needs. In the face of so much upheaval and instability, people longed for national unity and strong leadership. One of the results of that was that fascism was rising around Europe as ways of celebrating differences, norms for communicating and developing trust, and systems for creating fair government and justice were in an unstable place. Now, against this backdrop, many people also longed for places that offered spirituality, connection, and hope. Places that could help them rebuild and create something better, stronger, and more vibrant with their neighbors. Some of those folks came to the Unitarian Church of Prague, where they found a place for worship, spirituality, connection, and hope. The services were very different from what we now experience. There were no stories or music, and the building was plain and cold in the post-war era. Reverend Dr. Chopek knew that people who attended services were learning a lot, but he also knew that they were yearning for connection and possibility. He knew that they needed to celebrate the beauty of their differences and to spark more joy. So, in 1923, as Reverend Dr. Chopek walked along a river, he saw a flower growing up through bare, scuffed dirt. And it inspired him to introduce the flower celebration to his church. On the last Sunday, before the summer recess of the Unitarian Church in Prague, all the children and adults participated in this colorful ritual, which gives concrete expression to the humanity-affirming principles of our liberal religious faith. The ceremony did what he hoped, bringing a sense of hope and possibility and binding congregants more closely amidst their differences. And so it continued, and it spread to other congregations. Then in 1940, Reverend Dr. Norbert Chopek's wife, the Reverend Maya Chopek, brought the flower ceremony to the United States at the UU congregation in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And it has spread throughout the US from there. When the Nazis took control of Prague in the 1940s, they found Reverend Dr. Chopek's gospel of the inherent worth and beauty of every human being to be, as Nazi records show, too dangerous to the Reich for him to be allowed to live. Reverend Dr. Chopek was sent to Dachau, where he was killed the next year during a Nazi medical experiment. This gentle man suffered a cruel death, but his message of human hope and decency lives on through the flower ceremony, which we and many other Unitarian Universalist congregations continue to celebrate today. Today, we celebrate the flower ceremony here every year. Just like those people 100 years ago in Prague, it helps us find hope, possibility, resilience, and connection. And it helps us appreciate our different gifts and personalities and how we co-create community together in our diversity. And so now Fanny will introduce what we'll do today. Fanny.
Okay. Let's start on this.
Now let's meditate on.
Yeah, got it. Okay, now let's meditate on the diversity, the beauty, and resilience of the flowers. In this congregation, in how we co-create us as we celebrate our flower communion. And now, as in place, please come forward and add your flowers to our bouquets. And then Alex will do the rest, right?
You bring an aster and I'll bring a rose, flowers from the roadside field or garden, symbols of friendship, gifts each chose. Each blossom praises nature, the artist. A flower is given, and we hear beauty's call. Though each one is different, each blesses all. Sharing the flowers, our faces glow. Loving one another, community grows. You bring a lotus, and I'll bring a lupine. Flowers from roadside field or garden, symbols of strength that rises from within. Each blossom praises nature, the artist. Together we're stronger than we can be apart, embracing the spirit in our neighbor's heart. Everyone needed if we are to see richness of difference in our unity. You bring a daisy and I'll bring a bluebell. Flowers from roadside field or garden, symbols of kinship in which we dwell. Each blossom praises nature, the artist. Each blossom praises nature, the artist.
The meditation that we're using today is one that the Reverend Dr. Norbert Čapek wrote for the flower ceremony 100 years ago. It's being read by the Reverend Dr. Peter Samoyski, the current minister of the congregation where the flower ceremony began, the Prague Unitarian Congregation in the Czech Republic. Reverend Dr. Samoyski will be sharing our meditation.
Let me share with you the meditation which Norbert Fabian Čapek offered for flower communion. Ve jménu prozřetelnosti, která do jádra ukládá budoucnost mohutného stromu a do srdcí vkládá budoucnost zbratřeného lidstva, ve jménu toho nejvyššího, co námi hýbe, co činí matku matkou, bratra bratrem a sestru sestrou, ve jménu mistrů a vůdců božských, kteří vlastních životů nasazovali, jen aby uspíšili příchod říše lidskosti, pro dobro vlastní a prospěch svého národa obnovme své předsevzetí, že si chceme být upřímnými bratry a sestrami bez ohledu na jakékoliv přehrady, které odcizují člověka člověku. V tomto svatém předsevzetí síliš nás vědomí, že jsme jedna boží rodina, že jeden duch, duch lásky nás spojuje a jedna snaha po dokonalejším a radostnějším životě nás vede. In the name of providence, which implants in the seed the future of the flower, and in our hearts the longing for people to live in harmony. In the name of the highest, in whom we move, and who makes the mother and father, the brother and sister, lover and loner for what they are. In the name of sages and great religious leaders who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of the age of mutual respect, let us renew our resolution, sincerely to be real brothers and sisters, regardless of any kind of bar which estranges us from each other. In this holy resolve may we be strengthened, knowing that we are God's family. That one spirit, the spirit of love, unites us, and endeavor for more a perfect and more joyful life. Amen.
So, in the story of the first flower ceremony, we might notice some parallels with today. We might notice the context of rising authoritarianism, the increasing willingness to target marginalized groups with hateful acts and discriminatory legislation. We might notice parallels with actions that states like Iowa are taking against trans and other LGBTQ+ people, rising hate crimes against Jewish people, police and other violence against Black people and immigrants. We may also notice the pattern of people who wish to retain their historical power, weaponizing identity-based discrimination and hate to remove human and civil rights. Now, these are scary trends, and we don't have all the answers for ways to counter all of them. Perhaps another time I'll preach a longer sermon about what people who study these patterns, about authoritarianism and fascism, and are looking at today's patterns, at what they're saying. But for today, for now, I will simply say that we do know a few things. We do know that using our voices and our power and our connections to disrupt and to counter violence and discrimination is one thing that we can do. And we know that we can work to help folks who are being influenced by hateful speech understand the humanity of the people who are being targeted by it, raising awareness of what is happening and helping create networks to counter this. We also know that we can work in places like this congregation to create places of resilience, possibility, and safety. We can do this through concrete programs like Our Whole Lives, which we're working on expanding to more community members, expanding partnerships through how we use our building, and developing the learning space for trans, queer, and other marginalized youth, which I'm delighted to say, the learning space, is now fully funded due to the support of many Unitarian Universalists around the country, including many from this congregation. Yes, it is fully funded. Yes, we can applaud. That's a thing to celebrate. And so because it is now fully funded, we're beginning to move more deeply into developing the systems, logistics, and advertising for it. If you want to be part of developing the learning space further, please contact our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Nick Kaplan, to get connected with the group that's working on that. But I digress. Because in addition to working to create places of resilience, possibility, and safety through those kinds of concrete programs, we can also create places of deepened trust. We need to develop our abilities and our skills with being vulnerable, communicating well and deeply, engaging with our differences, coming to understand and celebrate them, communicating about them with vulnerability and openness to each other, and celebrating the community that we create through our diversity. We can do this by developing our skills through the kinds of programming we're offering here and that are offered in the community, and by actually sitting down and talking with each other. We need to share our stories. We need to develop our abilities to move in and with change, and to develop our ethic of risk. As we do this, we take inspiration from the flower ceremony, both the one done 100 years ago and the one that we do today, because they both show us the power, beauty, joy, and connection that we can find in diversity by opening our communities and our hearts. Because we know, and we can see in what we've created here in front of the pulpit, the most beautiful communities are created when we celebrate and create something diverse together. These flowers remind us of the cycle of life. They remind us that all of us are prickly some of the time. They remind us that we need vulnerability and risk to truly have strength and to flower. They remind us of the importance of living within and celebrating diversity for growth and resilience. They remind us that connecting to others is crucial, that it creates more strength, beauty, joy, hope, and love. And they remind us that we are resilient, possibility-creating people. They remind us that we are engaged in the great project of creating beloved community as we work to bend the arc of the universe evermore to love and justice. So may it be today and all days. Amen. Blessed be. And so now, today, we also celebrate the sacred resources of you, our people. So many of you offer your generous gifts to the Unitarian Universalist Society, making it a congregation that does all of these things and strives to do more. Your staff and leaders appreciate all who bring their open minds, open hearts, and helping hands and loving spirits to support the ministries of this congregation. We come together at UUS to deepen our personal lives, moving towards just relationship with other communities and bringing healing and peace to the world. Peggy, I'll invite you up here. I'd also like to encourage the folks who are going to be part of saying pieces of this to move towards the front. Peggy.
There are many ways that we do this. Each color of flower in our bouquets will represent a part of our care, a piece of all the wonderful people and activities that make this congregation vital and whole. And for those of you who picked up stickers with the flowers on it, the different colors there also represent the different ways that people are volunteering and contributing to our congregation and the community and bringing healing and peace to the world. For each area of care, we will invite people who have contributed to rise as they are able and be recognized, or to raise a hand if rising is not what your body needs to do today. A child or youth who is helping or another leader will hand you a flower. Please remain standing until the congregation sings a song of thanks to you. And now for the children and youth, will you help distribute flowers to people who are standing or have a hand raised? If you're willing to help, please come up to the front, and Reverend Diana, Val, and Fanny will help you pick out and distribute flowers. After you've handed out the flowers, we will sing a song of thanks and praise.
The word worship comes from an Old English word that means to acknowledge what is of worth. Our worship services on Sunday morning and special occasions are meant to help us develop our spiritual lives. That is how we make meaning and purpose of the things that happen in life. They're meant to connect us to each other and to our senses of the sacred. Our worship life is created and held by many hands, and those of you who care for our worship life, we thank you. If you're involved in any of the following groups, please rise or raise a hand and you'll receive a purple or a blue flower. And after the children have helped distribute flowers, the congregation will sing our thanks. Choir and special music coordinators and musicians. Worship associates. That would be great. It takes many hands for our many, many volunteers. Membership associates and welcome table volunteers. Hospitality teams. And some of you are standing up for more than one thing, so. AV volunteers, yay. And people who did additional things to care for our worship life while Reverend Diana was on medical leave, and those were many, many of you.
We'll sing it 7 times, so you'll catch on to it. But we'll only sing it once right this second. Thank you, Shane. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Gallagher, Leadership Development Chair. Our congregation elects members to specific leadership positions that have oversight and fiduciary responsibilities for our congregation. That means the people in these positions are responsible for overseeing and managing UUS's resources for the congregation's benefit. We also elect members to our Leadership Development Committee, which helps members develop our leadership skills and identifies candidates for elected positions. For those of you who care for our congregation as elected leaders, we thank you. If you're involved in any of the following groups, please rise or raise a hand and you'll receive an orange flower, maybe. After children have distributed flowers, the congregation will sing our thanks. Board of Trustees, please stand. Leadership Development Committee folks, please stand. Endowment Committee people, please stand.
I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
This congregation also thrives with the support of many, many teams. Teams do everything from gathering people to develop our minds and hearts, to leading our justice work, to caring for our building, to gathering and managing financial resources. And all of those teams have leaders. For those of you who care for our congregation as group or team leaders, we thank you. If you are or have been involved in leading any of the groups or teams in our congregation this past year, I know there are many on that slide, so that may be hard to read them, but we do a lot here. Please rise or raise a hand, and you will receive a pink flower. After children have helped distribute flowers, the congregation will sing our thanks. Yeah, I'm not reading all of those. But thank you.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Some of our care is less visible, but no less important to the health and well-being of our congregation. There are so many ways that the infrastructure of our congregation is maintained through the finances, tending the building, supporting leadership, and helping things run. For those of you who care for our congregation, we thank you. If you are involved in any of the following groups, please rise or raise a hand and you will receive a yellow flower. There are several board subcommittees: personnel, mission and vision, right relations, governance, and finance. There are people who help develop our current governance systems. Members of the Balance and Growth Initiative, Income and Outreach Team, Stewardship Team, Publicity Team, Building Team, Grounds Team, Land Ministry, Aesthetics Team, Historical Records, Auction and Fundraising Teams, Rental Volunteers, and people who did additional things to care for the infrastructure of our congregation while Reverend Diana was on medical leave.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Some of our care takes place outside of our campus to ensure that the inherent worth and dignity of every being is honored and respected. For those of you who care for our wider community, we thank you. If you are involved in any of the following groups, please rise or raise a hand, and you will receive a red flower. After children have helped distribute the flowers, the congregation will sing our thanks. The social justice team, the racial justice team, the Green Sanctuary team, Radical Welcome team, Prison Ministry team, Immigration Action team and Circle of Friends, Free Lunch, Little Free Pantry team, staff a table at a Iowa City or North Liberty Pride, volunteered at our Earth Festival, attended a march or protest or city council meeting, or wrote letters to elected officials. People who did additional things to care for our wider community while Reverend Diana was on medical leave.
All right, let's sing our thanks together. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. Thank you.
An important aspect of our care is our encouragement of spiritual growth and our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. As Unitarian Universalists, we have the gift of being able to pursue personal growth in many ways. For those of you who care for our mind, heart, body, spirit connection, we thank you. If you are involved in any of the following groups, please rise or raise a hand, and you will receive a green or white flower. After children have helped distribute flowers, the congregation will sing our thanks. If you are a member of the religious education and nursery teachers, religious education team, pastoral care team, wonderful UU Wednesday planning team, people who did additional things to care for our mind, heart, body, spirit connection while Reverend Diana was on medical leave, everyone who helped hand out flowers today.
All right, let's sing together. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. Thank you.
So, and now everyone who's been helping the flowers, I hope you've gotten your flowers. Some of you have a flower, many of you have multiple flowers. There may be a few people here who are just beginning to open up the gifts of UUS. If you have more than one flower and someone near you has no flowers, please turn to them, offer them a flower as a way to symbolize that UUS is always ready to receive the gifts they have to offer.
It's wonderful watching you sharing flowers. Each one of us brings our own gifts, talents, perspectives, spiritual journeys, joys, and sorrows. Each of us brings a unique and beautiful self. Thank you to everyone for the gifts you bring to this community. Let's mark this moment with a prayer from the Reverend Dr. Peter Samoyski, who we heard from earlier, the minister of the Prague Unitarian Congregation.
These words I offered as a meditation over the flowers before their distribution. In the name of what is holy, in the name of what is good, in the name of that which gives life, we have gathered here in this place today. We have been given life to live under the aspect of eternity, for that is the source of happiness. To work on ourselves and bring happiness into our lives, to be as valid as possible to others with whom we are connected by invisible relationships. You, the flowers, remind us of the wonderful simplicity of the natural order, and that we too are a part of it. You remind us of the beauty and harmony of diversity. You remind us that one can feel and perceive and live unity in diversity and diversity in unity. Let the spirit of creative life unite us as it reigns among us.
Of the Valley. How we give, what we do with our lives, our time and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with every week, this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner agency this month is the Free Lunch Program. An open door, a full plate, no questions asked. The Free Lunch Program of Iowa City operates 6 days a week with volunteer teams preparing and serving nutritious meals to anyone in our community who is hungry. UUS's volunteer free lunch team has not missed their second Friday monthly shift since their first meal in 1986. Yes. In the sanctuary, the ushers will collect the offering, or you can follow the instructions on the screen for how to give online. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner agency. In addition to assisting our community partner, you may also contribute towards your pledge to our society or to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses. You may also contribute by check using the memo line to designate the purpose. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is almost completely supported by the generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
now, closing words. Nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence is part of how we live into the Unitarian Universalist faith. May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, we will have time for all to join in conversation and community. If you're online, a link to our Zoom coffee hour room is available in the description below the video in YouTube. If you're in person, we gather in the fellowship hall and outside for conversation. Our discussion questions, which you may want to chat about during coffee hour, are: how has sharing your time and skills at UUS added to your life? What, if a new way, you might want to try given your time this coming year? There are designated tables in the fellowship hall if you'd like to join a discussion especially about this. And if you'd like to know more about the resources used in today's service, you can find a bibliography at the end of your email or our email order or service, or using the QR code on your print order of service. And now, to close our service today, we will sing Spirit, Make Us Love.
This is one that was commissioned by this congregation, and I know is a big favorite for a lot of us, so I'm excited to sing it with you. If you'll indulge me for one moment, Xinhui has to figure out some stuff with visa, and while she's doing that, she won't be able to play with us. So I want to take a moment for us to appreciate Xinhui's work over the past 2 years now at this congregation, and hope for a speedy return to the piano. And now I invite you to rise in body and spirit as you just sat down, and Colleen will lead us in Spirit, Make Us One.
We proclaim the saving message as in times of old. History give us courage, make us bold. There is healing, there let justice meet us, let justice meet us through. Conscience follow truth, make us true. Our promised future now begun. Spirit, oh Spirit, make us Lord. Give us honor, make us true. Make us make us one. Bless our journey, make us one. Make us one. Spirit, make us one.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
So before you go out into the world, as you leave this sanctuary, we still have flowers up here. And I know that there are ushers and greeters and membership associates who have been preparing our reception afterwards for us. I hope some of you will take some flowers to them and also gather some for yourselves if you would like some more to take home. And now, as you go out into the world today and in the coming days, may you keep growing, stretching out, creating more possibility in your lives and in our community. Go in peace, love, and justice, living love ever more fully and fiercely into this world. Amen. And blessed be.